Dr. Anyimadu is a Ghanaian-born American who graduated from the University of Ghana Medical School. He is currently an infectious disease consultant at the Hospital of Central Connecticut and Mid-State Medical Center. He has been a remarkable force in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, treating patients, educating people through multiple media interviews, and being a strong advocate for vaccinations. An important fact that we should all be aware of is that Dr. Anyimadu is one of the 2% of black male doctors in the US. We are so honored to be able to interview him today. This is not just history. This is Black history. Dr. Anyimadu, welcome. First things first, not a lot of Black people would have had the courage to explore this field of work. What was your inspiration to explore this area?
Well, infectious diseases, as you know, an infectious diseases specialist is someone who treats people who have infection, but not only treating people who have infection, but also preventing people from getting infections, right? So with the advent of COVID-19 and knowing that I was needed to step up and help with the fight of COVID-19, I just had to step up. Infectious diseases has been something that I've been very interested in since I was in college. And even going into medical school, I knew that I was going to end up doing infectious diseases. So I've been very excited about the field. And this is just the right opportunity to step up and do some real good stuff.
Amazing. Just quick question. Did you ever get that love for in the medical field from your family? Is it like a family thing, or was it just something you just picked up?
So it's interesting that you ask that question, because as the saying goes, you can't be what you can't see, right? But interestingly, that was not the case for me. There was nobody in my family when I was growing up who was a physician. Generations on end. There's been nobody in my family who has been a physician. So I wasn't inspired by a family member. My father was an engineer, my mother was a teacher, but I was poised to be a doctor. And that's why I think that when you put your mind to something and you find your passion and you work at it, you will get there.
Definitely. That's one of the lessons the kids at IR should take away from this, is that you got to keep working. And to bring that to my second question, as a person of color, have you experienced any challenges? And if so, can you tell us a little bit about how you overcame those?
Yes, definitely. As a person of color, you will experience many challenges, especially in this field, right? There are times that I've walked into a patient's room and they will ask me that am I coming to take them for their test? Even in spite of wearing a white coat, wearing a tie, walking in with my stethoscope. There are some patients that you walk in and they'll still ask you, are you a doctor? And there are some patients who will ask you, are you coming to take me for my test, for my CT scan? Are you the person going to bring my food? Right. But the point you have to keep in mind is that your skin color doesn't define you. And people's perspective of you should never define who you want to be or who you're aspiring to be or what you're aspiring to be.
Definitely. And do you think as a society we will ever get past that, or people will ever get past that stigma or that stereotype?
It is beginning to change, and I see change ahead of us. You know, the things that have been done can never be undone. President Clinton said that in 1997, that what has been done can never be undone. but we can end the silence, right?
Yes.
So I think now people are becoming more aware of race, especially in my field. People, especially with COVID. COVID has illuminated a lot of disparities in the healthcare field, and people know that race is something that defines or determines how healthcare is being delivered.
Yeah.
And now, because we are beginning to talk about it, I see that there's definitely going to be a change, right?
Yeah.
And platforms like this, I like the fact that you're doing this so that you can help demystify some of the myths and some of the ideologies that people have about Black people.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, thank you so much for just being a part of it. I know I say this, I said it already, and I'll definitely be saying it throughout the duration of the interview, but I really, 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 truly appreciate this.
You're very welcome, Mikhail.
Thank you. What has been one of your proudest moments in the field? I know there's many, but I just want to know, do you have any like one specific one?
There's been a lot of fulfilling times in my career as an infectious diseases specialist, right? Whenever people ask me that, it's what comes to mind is the joy that I feel when patients are walking out of the hospital, like patients who come in sick and I see them going out of the hospital, or maybe they get discharged and they come back to clinic to see me, and I'm taking away, stopping their antibiotics, stopping everything that they were on because they are healthy. Those are my proudest moments, and those are the moments that I cherish so much.
Yeah, definitely. It's like building a relationship with the people that come in to see you because you let them leave them feeling good and then they come back to see you again. It's kind of like a
That's right.
family.
That's right.
And speaking of family, how is, I know it's being tough being like a physician and like balancing that family life. You know, I want to know how do you balance that?
You always have to make time, right? The, there will always be something for you to do, especially as a physician or in your career. But you have to make sure that you are making the time to balance to have a well balanced life, especially with family. You have to prioritize your family. And so that's what I do. I prioritize my family and make sure that I have time for family.
Like how does spirituality play in your life, you know, throughout being a physician and just like overall?
I am a Christian, and that's one of the things that I'm proud of the most, to have known Christ at a very early age. And so it's permeated everything that I've done in my life. Faith is something that I hold very dearly. And so all my family, we all go to church every Sunday. Unfortunately, we don't go to church in person these days, but we still do online church. So
Definitely.
church is one of the things that we do, and it's great to be a Christian, and I think it's been one of my strongest go-to, especially during this pandemic.
Yeah. I can really relate to that because I too am a Christian.
That's really great.
Um, like, what piece of advice would you give to not just Black people, but just children in general?
So one of the things that I want everyone to know is that our generation believes in you guys. We believe in your generation. Whether we like it or not, you guys are going to be the ones taking over from us, right? So we expect you to have a purpose. We know that you have great potentials, and you have to develop those potentials. Uh, don't ever fall prey to any form of ideology, especially with regards to race. Your potentials are limitless, and you can become whatever you choose to become.
I just have one last question.
Sure.
Have like a historical figure or a moment or quote that resonates with you and why?
One person who sticks in my brain all the time, and there's a quote that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, and it applies to my profession. So I always keep it very close to me. And it's actually written right here on my computer. Of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane. And I'll explain it to you that there's a lot of injustice and inequalities that people face, especially people of minority and people of color, right? But of all the forms of inequalities that we see, one of the things that's very inhumane is it's inequality in healthcare, right? Because you would expect that even if you don't like someone because of the color of their skin, when it comes to health or when those people need help, you want to do everything that you can to help them, whether they are Black or white. But we still see disparities and we still see inequality in the delivery of healthcare to people of color, which Martin Luther King said that is the most shocking and inhumane, right? So that's one of the things that drives me to make sure that I'm providing the best of care to everyone, regardless of their skin color.
Thank you so much. That really is very encouraging. I'll definitely take that with me as I head into high school, head into college, and just keep it with me throughout life. Thank you so much again.
You're very welcome, Mikhail. And it's very impressive that you're doing this because
Thank
you're
you.
going to help a whole lot of people.
Thank you so much.
All right, do take care of yourself.